What is up, gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode on the channel. On today's episode, I wanted to discuss how you can stop being a nice guy and start being a nice guy. What is the difference? We all understand the trope of the nice guy. The nice guy is the pushover. The nice guy is the person that will cater to everyone's needs and put everyone's needs before their own or his own, not because he's an actual nice guy, but because deep down, a deeply seated insecurity precludes him from being able to assert himself in everything that he wants, whether it's in life, in business, in relationship, because he is worried about what the reaction might be. He's worried about being unaccepted. He's worried about failure. And this difference between being the nice guy and the nice guy, like an actually good person, can sometimes be very different. We've often heard the term before that a weak person or a nice guy is the weakest type of person. When you're unable to assert yourself, when you're unable to go through the world and to call out bullshit when it happens, to call out people that are standing or stepping out of line when it happens, you are actually doing yourself and everyone around you a disservice. You do this not because you're trying to be a nice person, but because you're deeply and truly scared of the consequences. So how do you leave that idea of being a nice person that tries to cater to everyone and anyone and actually go about becoming an actually good person that is able to be effective and successful at life? A person that is able to truly be an amazing person to be around, a compassionate person, an empathetic person, but is able to get business done, is able to assert their boundaries when they need to be asserted, and is able to go through life with people understanding that this is a good person, but this is not a person that I would like to cross. That distinction is very difficult. And this is a distinction that comes through time, and a distinction that I personally faced in my own life. I probably spent the last 10 years of my life trying to figure out that balance. At the age of almost 30, I figured out the beginnings of what I believe are the keys to this balance. First, you understand what are your ultimate values? What are your core goals in life? What have you been put on this earth to carry in terms of values? I know for me, my values are that I wish to be respected and to respect those around me. I wish to provide value first and foremost, and I wish to give to people more than I take from them. I do this in everything that I do. I wish to live in front of people as I do away from people. So the things that I will do in front of people, I will also do away from people. I will not do something behind people's backs that I would not do in front of them. This is very important to me. I wish to genuinely be a good friend to the people around me, to care about what they want, to care about who they are. I wish to provide for the people that I love. I wish to create a community of like-minded people, to surround myself with people that are invested in growth, that are invested in being good people and ethical people, people with the same shared vision. So everything I do in life aligns with these core goals. Anything that comes in the path of those core goals, I will be ruthless in removing from my life. And when I say ruthless, there's a difference between barbarically ruthless and ruthless in a way that is mechanical, clinical, and very clean and respectable. I'll give you guys a very specific example. As the owner of a business, I deal with people on a day-to-day basis. And at the core of all my relationships, I try to found and put all of those on a foundation of trust and respect. I understand that the trust and respect is there because I receive that trust and respect back through various years of consistency. When people look at me, they understand that there is a consistent set of actions that is backed up by a stack of evidence over the last 5-10 years of my career. I've been able to do this as I built that over time. I approach every single relationship that I have with the frame of reference of what are my core values. If I feel, and I believe, not feel, if I believe that the person in front of me is doing something that is distracting me or is holding me back from fulfilling my core values, this is where I understand that I need to take action. And when you take action, you do so in a way that is direct, but is directly measured as well. Knowing how to measure the response to deal with the severity of the action. So never going overboard in my response, and also never going underboard in my response. This requires wisdom. This requires the wisdom to understand the nature of the offense that's being done and understanding how to react to that in a way that is in likewise. This comes with wisdom. The second thing is separate work from humanity. What does this mean? You can have a disagreement with someone when it comes to work, whether it's a client, whether it's an employee, whether it's an employer, whether it's XYZ. But those disagreements do not have to carry into your personal relationship with that person. That ability to distinguish between what is being done in the context of work versus what is being done in the context of real life, those are two very, very different things. I could have someone who could do me wrong in one scenario, but I will not carry that in my heart into another scenario. And that is where you draw the line. That is where you create the distinction of being a good person versus being a nice person, right? A nice person is someone who is unwilling to step on toes. He's unwilling to sour that relationship or to put conflict in that relationship because they worry about how they will be perceived. Because they're so insecure in themselves that their constant reaction is, oh, I don't want to do that because I don't know how that'll affect how this person sees me, or I don't know how I'll be understood, or I don't know how this. They are so far into their minds and they're so concerned with not resolving the situation, not having a favorable outcome for both parties, but actually reserving and preserving their own identity, that they're unwilling to do something. And believe me, the person that is continuously able to let things slide because of a fear of conflict, because of a fear of stepping forward, is not doing anyone a service. They're not doing themselves a service, and they're not doing the person in front of them a service. If you're an employer with an employee, that employee is in your guardianship. They are relying on your leadership. They're relying on your ability to say no when no needs to be said and say yes when yes needs to be said. They're relying on your flexibility when flexibility needs to be given, and they're relying on your sternness and your key direction when that needs to be done, regardless of if that creates an immediately negative reaction. I've been in those scenarios many times, and sometimes you question yourself. You ask yourself, when is too much too much? And I find that as I've grown older, as I've become more mature, and I've tied in the idea that as long as I'm aligned with my core values of respect, of value, of like-mindedness in my community, of giving back, that all actions are justified. This does not mean, and there's no scenario in which this could be misconstrued. I'll give you an example. If someone reacts, or if I react in an insanely negative way to something that someone has done, I'm now in my reaction removing my value of respect. So in my reaction, I'm no longer respecting the person in front of me. So I have taken a decision, and sure, I may be achieving the outcome that I want, whether that's removing this person from my life or correcting a wrong that's been done. But in my response, I am no longer aligned with my core value. So there I know that I've done wrong. But if I do something and I stay within my core values, regardless of if that person is immediately affected or not, that's going to have no effect on how I ultimately perceive myself during the long run. So this is the key distinction between the person that wants to be firm yet fair and wants to be a good person but not a nice person. Because a nice person will allow themselves to be walked on because of the fear of judgment. You carry this throughout your entire life. You carry this in your intimate relationships as well. When you put two people together in a scenario that is extremely intimate, you have to understand that you have your emotions on one side and you have your logic on the other side. Sometimes those two can conflict quite heavily. But you understand and you ask yourself, what is the core values of this relationship? Is it loyalty? Is it trust? Is it a long-term vision of what we're working towards? If you're able to keep all of these, right, keep love at the center of what you're doing, you're able to take difficult decisions in key times, as long as you understand that your reaction is in line with the idea of promoting love across all of these values. This can be a separate video for future episodes, so let me know if you want me to go deeper into more personal relationships. This is more of a business-focused episode, but the same idea stays true. As long as you're aligned with your core values, as long as you are measured in your response, you're able to understand that the person that you want to be is no longer either a nice guy or a good guy. It's just a person in this life that is living as true as possible to the nature of what they wish to be. And whoever comes in your way, you understand that you separate them in a way that is respectable, and you continue to plot your path forward. Hopefully that made sense to you guys. I know that it made a ton of sense in my mind, and this is something that I personally struggle with, but I finally come to terms over the last 1 year of what it means to be a good person and not a nice person. What it means to be a fair person, a firm person, but not an overly lenient person. Where to balance when I need to be balanced, and when I need to be a bit more firm, to be more firm. These things are continuously being built up over time. So give yourself time, ease into it. It's a life's journey, and one that you'll never reach the end of. And that's the beauty of life. You'll always have something to work towards. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please consider smashing a massive thumbs up. It always helps us out. It keeps us motivated to keep creating these episodes for you. Until next time, guys, stay awesome.